So today's video is going to be about a sim rig build. It's a little different than my usual video that's 3D printing focused. 3D printing will still play a role, but it's more of an accent role in this project. But we're going to go ahead and jump right into some of the main pieces of this project, starting out with some 15 series aluminum extrusion that I've used as the main frame. So the main frame consists of a 2-unit 15 series, so that's 1.5 by 3 inches at 50 inches in length. And it has cross braces, 4 of them at 1.5 by 1.5. And pedals are mounted via two 20mm by 20mm aluminum extrusions across the front. It is using 11 gauge laser cut steel to mount the extrusions together. Some of this steel has been bent and welded together. All of it has been Cerakoted in a Cerakote C-Series flat dark earth to kind of give it more of a natural neutral tone. And I also just like the look of flat dark earth and black hardware. So as for electronic hardware, sim stuff is all Logitech G920. It's their wheel, their pedal, and their shifter setup. The racing seat is just an Amazon seat. I don't know much about it other than it was on Amazon. It came with its own sliders. And then for the physical mounting hardware, it uses 4 3/8 bolts and washers, 4 5/16 bolts and nuts, 8 5/16 button head bolts, 10 M6 by 16mm button head bolts, about 100 1/4 by 20 inch by 5/8 inch bolts, and 1/4 20 T-nuts. So the adjustability on this, when I designed it, I really wanted it to be very adjustable. So the seat has the sliders built into it, and then the plate that the slider mounts to has slots built into it as well for further adjustability forward and back, as well as side to side in the extrusion. The wheel has slots that it can move side to side on, or forward and back on as well, and then side to side in the extrusion. So the shifter is able to achieve its adjustability via vertically on the extrusion that it mounts on vertically, and then horizontally up and down the frame rail. It just slides up and down those T-slots. The pedal adjustability is built into the plate. It has slots that allow the plate to move forward and back, and then the pedal itself has slots that allow it to move forward and back, so I get double the movement forward and back to give me a lot of adjustability, as there is quite a height variance in individuals, and that just gives me some room to play with there. The pedals also have an angle adjustment from 0 to 25 degrees in 5-degree increments. As far as upgradability goes, my plate system that I'm using on this sim rig is very upgradable, as I can just remake a plate or recut a plate to mount a different wheel on it, or shifter, or pedals, and it just gives me a lot of flexibility in the way that I can upgrade this as I get more involved in this hobby. As for the printed accent pieces, there is 8 95A TPU feet along the main rail to kind of give isolation and vibration protection to the flooring, as I didn't want just aluminum extrusion on the floor if you're in the rig and kind of really cranking on it and just scratching up the floor that way. The power supply unit for the Logitech wheel is mounted via an ASA printed mount that just mounts inside of one of the vertical T-slots. The wiring is all contained via printed clips that clip into the T-slots as well. All the wiring has been taped together to kind of give it a very uniform flow from the wheel down to where they all need to terminate. The steering wheel has 3D printed mounts that allow the use of the factory style desk clamps to just give extra rigidity, as I didn't feel comfortable just using the 2 M6 bolts at the back of the wheel. So those front clamps allow me to really clamp that wheel down to that plate, and that way you can really crank on that wheel and you're not going to try tearing it off or break the inserts out of the wheel. And then the uprights have beauty caps on them that are printed in ASA, and those are just to eliminate some of the sharp edges off of just the straight cut aluminum upright. But that's the basic overview of the sim rig. We'll move on to a quick little time lapse of me building it, and then I'll kind of give you my first impressions of using it after about a week of use. But before that, a word about today's sponsor, PCBWAY. So PCBWAY offers CNC, 3D printing, laser cutting, and PCB manufacturing, and they can help bring a project like this to life using all of those services. And right now they offer a promotion of 10 100mm by 100mm PCBs for only the shipping and handling. That's all you pay is the shipping and handling. So check them out today at PCBWAY.com. Okay, so you guys have kind of seen the build process of this and what all it entailed. It was a pretty straightforward build. It was designed in Fusion 360 first, and then I just kind of had some pieces laser cut and bent and assembled it as the dimensions in the Fusion 360 file kind of told me where to put things. But adjustability wise, I've had people in there from my girlfriend who's about 5'2" all the way up to my brother-in-law who's over 6 feet tall. And the seat adjustability lets both of them fit comfortably. As for my brother-in-law, the steering wheel probably could have came up about an inch, but overall he got to sit in there for 2 hours pretty much nonstop, and he never said it was uncomfortable at any point. The pedal adjustment is really nice as it allowed me to kind of fine-tune where I felt how I drive my cars. So I have a C5 Corvette and a Cadillac CTS V2. And so I kind of just placed those pedals where it felt natural to me, like I was driving one of those cars. And then the rigidness of this is just, it's really, really, really stout. So I would have no fear in adding a direct drive wheel that would be over 10 Newton meters of torque to it. Which leads me to one of the big cons of this, is that it's so rigid, it's actually kind of heavy, like really heavy, like needs wheels to move it around heavy. So I'm in the process of getting some plates bent for wheels to go on the front. That way I can lift up the back and move it around wherever I need to move it around to. That's kind of all the first impressions of it as it stands right now. The T-slot allows for a lot of upgrades in the future, as if I wanted to add anything, I can 3D print or build plates to add things to this as I need. If I needed monitor mounts or anything like that, as I'm currently just using it in front of my projector. It's not as immersive as it should be, but it definitely works for what it is. So, but yeah, I don't know exactly how I'm handling the files on this, if I'm releasing them for free, or if there's any interest in the files, or anything about that yet, but I'll keep everybody updated on that in the video. So look for updates about this there. Other than that, that is all that I have for you guys today. So yeah, thanks for watching.